Statistics say that over 60% of remarriages involve children from previous relationships, and the struggle to blend families successfully is real for so many. Each number represents a family trying to create a home, to build a place where everyone feels like they belong. That's where I found myself, a place where the stakes were so high that each day felt like walking a tightrope. I never anticipated the layers of challenges that would come with creating a blended family, how complicated the journey would be, how steep the learning curve could feel. All I wanted was a peaceful, harmonious home, a place where love was enough to glue our lives together. But it wasn't that simple. I remember the early days, filled with excitement and high hopes. My partner and I truly believed our love was strong enough to overcome anything. We believed that the kids would naturally adjust to the idea of sharing us, of coexisting as one unit. We spent hours discussing how we would bring our families together, mapping out plans and talking about all the things we would do as a united family. But it didn't take long before reality set in, and that beautiful, hopeful vision started to crack. One of the hardest things to accept was that our kids weren't on board with our vision. No matter how hard I tried to bridge the gaps, it often felt like I was talking to walls. I'd spend hours, patiently trying to explain, to find common ground, to smooth over arguments, but there was always resistance. I could see the hurt and confusion in their eyes, a sadness that came from feeling they'd been forced into a family they didn't choose. It broke my heart because as much as I wanted to fix it, to bring joy back into their lives, I couldn't simply erase the challenges they felt, the pain they had from their own histories and the homes we'd each come from. The tension started small. Little things like where each child would sit at the dinner table became battlegrounds. There were arguments over who got to sit in the front seat of the car, who had more space in the closet, and endless debates over which family traditions would stay and which would have to go. Each day felt like a balancing act, a struggle to keep everyone from feeling left out or slighted. I would lie awake at night, wondering if I'd made a mistake, if I was somehow failing both as a parent and as a partner. Each decision I made seemed to please one child but disappoint another. It hurt deeply, but the weight of those decisions made me feel like I was carrying stones on my shoulders every single day. Then, there was the constant comparison. My child would say things like, "It's different at Dad's house," or "This is how we did things before." My partner's kids did the same. They would tell me about their mother's rules, their routines, the things they missed. Every comment, though often innocent, felt like a reminder that I wasn't enough, that our new family structure wasn't enough. There were days I just wanted to cry because I felt like I was competing against memories, against routines I couldn't replicate, traditions I couldn't replace. And it felt isolating, knowing that my partner couldn't quite understand the weight of those moments, those feelings of inadequacy that seemed to haunt me every step of the way. One memory still sticks with me. It was a chilly autumn afternoon. I planned a day out to bring us closer, a simple family hike with the hope of bonding in nature, away from screens and distractions. I was hopeful that maybe, just maybe, we'd find some peace, some unity in that setting. But the trip turned sour almost immediately. The kids argued over everything, the snack choices, the hike path, even the temperature. Every step was a reminder that I couldn't control this, that our blended family was struggling to find harmony. I remember sitting down on a rock halfway through the trail, the leaves crunching beneath me as I tried to hide my tears. I thought, is it ever going to get better? Are we ever going to feel like a family? And it wasn't just the kids. There were moments when my partner and I would look at each other, both exhausted, both wondering if we'd asked too much of each other, too much of our kids. I felt like I was failing him every time our home filled with tension and conflict. Every disagreement seemed to chip away at our relationship, adding strain instead of the love and joy we once had. I wanted to be the partner he could count on, the glue holding us all together, but there were nights I just cried myself to sleep, feeling defeated, feeling lost. Holidays were the worst. Every family has its traditions, and when you try to bring two families together, those traditions can clash in ways you never expect. I remember our first Christmas together. I tried so hard to create an experience that felt familiar and comforting for everyone. But it was a disaster. My child missed our old tree decorating routine, while my partner's kids didn't want to participate in certain traditions I cherished. I ended up sitting by the tree alone that night, the ornaments shimmering through my tears, wondering how something that was supposed to be so joyful could feel so lonely. It was like every piece of happiness I tried to create just slipped through my fingers, leaving me with a hollow ache I couldn't shake. As time went on, I started to notice that even my relationship with my own child was changing. It hurt to see my child pull away from me, to sense that they felt they were losing me in this new family dynamic. Every hug felt a little shorter, every conversation a little more distant. I would lie in bed at night, thinking back to our special times together before, the times when it was just the two of us, the times when my child was my whole world. Now, I was divided, stretched thin between my love for my partner, my hopes for our family, and the guilt I felt for not being able to give my child the stability they once knew. The pain of that guilt gnawed at me, leaving me feeling broken and empty, wondering if I was losing my family rather than building one. I was so tired of fighting. Fighting for peace, fighting for love, fighting to create a home that felt warm and welcoming to everyone. I used to think that love would be enough, that my love for my partner and our children would magically blend us together. But love isn't a magic cure. It doesn't erase the complexities, the pain, the challenges that come with merging lives. Each day felt like another battle, another hurdle in a marathon I was unsure I could finish. There were days when the pain was so heavy that I thought about walking away, about giving up on this dream of a blended family. I wondered if my partner and I would have been happier on our own, if maybe our kids would have been happier without the forced proximity, without the constant adjustment. But even then, I couldn't bear the thought of leaving, of abandoning the life we'd started to build, no matter how difficult it was. The struggle for peace, for unity, for a sense of belonging in our home was relentless, consuming every ounce of strength I had. Some nights, I would lie awake, replaying every argument, every hurtful word, every look of disappointment, questioning every choice I'd made along the way. The journey was filled with heartache, with moments where I felt like I was breaking under the weight of trying to make everyone happy. And yet, even in the darkest times, there was a part of me that clung to hope, a part of me that still believed we could find our way to a happy, harmonious family, even if I didn't know how yet. As hard as it was to keep going, to keep hoping, I knew I had to try, for myself, for my partner, and for our kids. Then I knew I had to find a way to make things better, to bring peace and unity to our blended family. The struggle had left me feeling defeated, but there was a part of me that refused to give up on the dream of a loving home. Slowly, I began to take small steps, realizing that creating harmony in a blended family would require time, patience, and support. My first step was understanding that I couldn't do it all alone. I reached out to a family therapist, someone who specialized in blended family dynamics, and for the first time, I felt like I had a roadmap, a guide through this challenging journey. In our sessions, we learned strategies to ease the tension, ways to manage family conflicts, and tools to build connections that felt genuine rather than forced. One of the most critical steps was learning how to communicate more effectively as a family. The therapist introduced us to a weekly family meeting, a time where each member could speak openly and share what was on their mind. At first, these meetings were tense, no one wanted to speak, and the kids would sit with their arms crossed, their expressions guarded. But over time, the meetings became a safe space. Our children began to open up about their frustrations, about the pain they felt from the changes in their lives, and I started to see things from their perspectives. This was a breakthrough, a real step toward healing and understanding. Another step was finding a balance between my relationship with my partner and my commitment to my child. I realized that I had been putting too much pressure on myself to be everything to everyone, and it was wearing me down. Our therapist encouraged me to create one-on-one time with each child, giving them moments to feel valued and prioritized. So, every week, I made a point to spend quality time with my child, doing activities they loved, just the two of us. These special moments began to rebuild the bond we once had, giving my child the reassurance that I was still there for them, that they hadn't lost me in this new family dynamic. My partner and I also learned to support each other better as parents, especially when it came to discipline. Before, I had felt like the bad guy whenever I had to set boundaries, while my partner took a more lenient approach. It was exhausting, constantly feeling like I was alone in parenting decisions. But we learned to work as a team, to discuss our rules, and to back each other up when it came to enforcing them. Having that unified front took away so much of the stress and made us feel like true partners. Our kids saw this change too, and over time, they began to respect the boundaries we set together. We also began incorporating new family traditions, something that wasn't tied to either of our pasts, but was uniquely ours. Simple things like Friday night movie marathons or Saturday morning pancake breakfasts became little rituals we all looked forward to. These moments of laughter, of shared joy, started to build connections that felt natural, helping our family develop a rhythm, a sense of belonging that wasn't forced. It wasn't always perfect, but it was progress, a reminder that with effort, we could create our own blended family traditions that brought us closer. Of course, there were setbacks. Not every day was easy, and there were still moments of tension, arguments, and misunderstandings. But through these experiences, I learned the value of resilience, of showing up each day with the intention to keep building this family, no matter how tough it got. The challenges didn't go away overnight, but they became easier to navigate. Each small victory, a shared laugh, a heartfelt conversation, a simple family outing without conflict, felt like a step closer to the harmony we all craved. Then, one of the hardest lessons was learning to let go of control. I had to accept that not everything would go according to my plans, that our family would never look perfect by traditional standards, and that was okay. I had to give the kids space to express themselves, to process their feelings, even when it meant hearing things that were difficult or uncomfortable. Embracing that imperfection, allowing each of us to be ourselves, was a huge part of what helped us grow together. As I continued down this path, I found resources that were invaluable in our journey, one of which was the book Blended Bliss, Creating a Happy and Harmonious Blended Family. This book was like a lifeline, giving me insights, practical steps, and encouragement that guided me through the toughest days. It taught me how to approach each challenge with patience, how to find joy in the small moments, and most importantly, how to create a home filled with acceptance and love. If you're navigating the complexities of a blended family, wondering if harmony is possible, I can't recommend this book enough. It transformed my outlook and provided the tools I needed to truly bring our family together. You can get a digital copy at LibriFFY.com through the link in the description, and let it be the guide that brings peace and unity